All right, I'm hitting start. Stop. Reset. No, I'm just kidding. Good morning, everyone. I'll tell you, it is great to be home in Morris County. I grew up right down the road here in Randolph, New Jersey. My parents still live in the house I grew up in. I'm Zach Beecher. It's a privilege to be in front of all of you today. As the son of a cop and a social worker, you can imagine that the table talk growing up was about service. It was about the problems that we all face. I watched my dad fight through all of the challenges of law enforcement and my mom build a nonprofit that served her community. And so I knew that when the opportunity came, I too wanted to serve. Now I went on to the Army. The Army learned that I might have had a fear of heights, so they sent me to the 82nd Airborne Division. Funny how that works. So after falling out of a couple perfectly good aircraft and having the chance to deploy to Iraq, I had the privilege of working alongside some of the strongest, smartest, and bravest Americans who were united in purpose, shared in their goals, and completely different in their backgrounds, their orientation. And so I knew what we could accomplish at the speed of battle and what we needed to do when the chips were down. And today, those chips are down again. And nothing drew that into starker contrast for me than when I was really brought back to a moment from when I was deployed in Iraq in January of 2017. And I saw Donald Trump take the oath of office as president. And I had the realization that if anything were to happen to me or any of my paratroopers, they would get a letter from a reality TV show star who had almost no respect for the oath that we had sworn. 5 days before my son arrived last year, we were confronted with that reality again. And as I've talked to neighbors and family and friends, folks are sick and tired of being sick and tired. There's an opportunity now for bold leadership. The onslaught that we were concerned about has accelerated into a full assault on the senses, our institutions, and our laws since January. Now let's talk about where those topics are hurting us most. I've seen it in my own family, my own friends. The affordability crisis, these cost cliffs, they're not a statistic, they're a lived reality. Whether it's healthcare, and I have family members navigating chronic mental illness, thinking about what it is for $2,700 per year per person in additional cost when those ACA credits expire is almost unfathomable. Thinking about what it is to watch your utility bill climb up 5, 10, 15, 20% as you're thinking about how you're going to provide for your family is almost, again, unfathomable. And when we think about accountability, my father, a police officer watching January 6th insurrectionists pardoned, cronies of the administration who are enriching themselves off our back and our hard work, pardoned to go do it again. Watching as folks are given orders that put them in moral hazard in the Caribbean in a way that we've never seen in a generation. Sleepwalking into a conflict. These are the cliffs that we must, we can, and we will avoid. Now, how are we going to do that? First, we have to remember that we are our own best hope, and that the answers lie in each and every one of us. What I'm asking for is the opportunity to go to Washington, take a pragmatic, take a progressively principled, but also a fighter's approach to driving outcomes for this district. If you're on SNAP assistance, you should not have to be paid a wage that forces you in that situation. If you're a company that has workers on SNAP assistance, you shouldn't be eligible for federal subsidies. The ACA credits need to be expanded. We need to think creatively, differently, and expand options for the public option. We need to fight forward in order to drive outcomes that deliver for the people in this district. We need to think differently about our tax regime in order to get a free and fair system that enables us to support. Now, when I was in the 82nd, there was a reading of the day. It was all the way. It was a promise that when you descended under darkness and whatever challenge faced you on the other side, that you would go all the way. That you would remember that we are our best hope. And so now I'm asking you to fight with me, shoulder to shoulder, and take this effort all the way to Washington to drive the outcome that we know that we all deserve. Thank you for your time. It's a privilege to be up here.